Hi, this is Pam. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I am going to share a card that uses some items that are in the clearance rack. This is the card that I'm going to be making. It's obviously not together yet. I've got most of the parts on it already cut out, and I'm just going to share some of the items that I used on it. The die cut of the jar comes from the Cannery Framelits set. These are in the clearance rack right now. You can still get them. They are, I believe, $14.99 marked down. This is the jar, mason jar, and this is the lid that resembles the fabric lid. This is the little flower that I used to cut these out, and it also comes with a few more framelits. There's corn, there's a pear, this could be apple or a tomato, and this is the little leafy part for that framelit there. So you can still get those in the clearance rack. And the papers that I used on this are also in the clearance rack. That is the Everyday Enchantment Designer Series paper. And I believe this was a celebration papers from a few years ago. Here is a little bit of the sampling of the papers that come in there. This is probably my favorite pattern. And you can pick this whole pack of 12 by 12 papers up for like $4.39, and that's quite a bargain. Even though I've had these for quite a while, I still love the patterns in those. So that's what I used to cut these out. Now this leaves, get those out of the way. This is actually a retired sizzlet. It's called the Little Leaves Sizzlet. So while you're shopping the clearance rack, check out the retired items list. There's lots of things on there. But that is what I used to cut that out with, the sizzlet. So I'm going to start assembling this card, and I think what I'll do is round the corners off on this and my Very Vanilla just in the corner. And I used for my base pumpkin pie. When I got this paper out, I couldn't really remember if it was pumpkin pie or tangerine tango. So I got my cardstock out and I was like, which one is it? You could probably go either way with that, but I think it matches closer to the pumpkin pie. This is the tangerine tango. And while I have my orange colors out, I want to give you another sneak peek of the new in color. Now this is called Tangelo Twist. As you can see, it is close to the pumpkin pie, but a darker orange. And this is the Tangerine Tango, and it is a darker color than the Tangelo Twist. So there's still 3 different colors of oranges there that will be in the new catalogs. And they actually all go together, so you could use those all in one card as well. So this is the card base. And to round the corners, I love to use the punch board. It's got a built-in corner rounder already up in it, so when you make your envelopes and whatnot, you can round the corners, but I like to use it just as a regular corner rounder. So I'm just going to round the corners on the top of the card base, and then I'm going to just round the one corner of this Very Vanilla cardstock there. And I think I'll glue that down, but first I'm going to wrap some. I don't have one of these cards made up, so I'm just kind of winging it right now. But I know I wanted to use the linen thread with the jar. It gives it a little country rustic look. So I'm just going to take the linen thread, and I think I'll give that a wrap around maybe 3 times. Maybe twice is good. And I'm just going to tie that off. And then I'm going to put the jar right above it so the linen thread will act as like a little a nice base for the jar, the Cannery Framelit set. And if I can get my nimble fingers to wrap the twine. So we'll wrap that around, then I'll glue that this piece down to the pumpkin pie. Cut that off. It's a little bit too loose, but my fingers are like numb all the time. I can't really feel a whole lot in them, so they just kind of I can't go by feel. And I think I'll put dimensionals on that actually. So let's get them out and stick that to there. I always like to put one in the center. I don't like my center to sink in, so I always put one more in the center. And we'll peel all of those off and stick that down. And I didn't mention I already stamped the sentiment on this piece to save a little bit of time in the video. But that stamp set is also on the retired list. Boo-hoo, I like that stamp set. It's called Happy Day, and this is the set that's going to be retired. I used the hello there, and I used the Stamp-A-Majig, stamped it on this sheet, and then lined it up and stamped it. And the color that I used on it is actually called Ruby Red. That's a retired color. The real red was just a little too bright, so this Ruby Red I had, and even though you can't get this on my Stampin' Up website, you can find it on eBay. There are lots of auctions listed for that. You can get it for like $3 or $4. That's pretty cheap. But as a comparison to the real red, I'll show you there. That's a lot brighter. This is the current color, and this is the Ruby Red. So I still like to use the retired items. There's nothing wrong with that. It mixes well with all the current colors still. So that works for me. And this is Pool Party that I die cut that out with. And I took a sponge and lightly kind of sponged the edges there with the Pool Party ink to make it stand out just a little bit more. And I'm using... Sorry about the disruption of the video there. I had a little battery issue with my camera. So anyways, I glued that Cannery jar framelit down to the very vanilla base, and I'm going to start adding the pieces to it. The lid there, I've put Stampin' Dimensionals on there. I think it probably look a little better than just glued down flat onto that. So I put them on there and attach that. And the little leaf I'm going to put down here, and I'm going to use some glue, liquid glue again on that. And I just have to watch where I put them. Some of the leaves I'm going to leave loose, so it kind of gives a little bit more dimension to it. It's just that the stem is so thin. I don't want to get a whole lot of glue on there so it doesn't get all over everything else. So I'll attach that down there. Good. And the flowers, one I'm going to glue down, and then the other one I put a little tiny piece of dimensional on that one. So one will be flat and the other one will be sticking up a little bit. Attach that there. And dimensional on that one. And we'll put it up there. So that's the Cannery Framelit set that's on the clearance rack, and the Everyday Enchantment paper that's also in the clearance rack. You can visit my Stampin' Up store and order those. And the Little Leaves Framelit, or the Sizzlet, is on the retired list, so make sure you check that out as well. And that's the completed card. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to visit my blog. Bye.